Welcome to day 41 of the Boat and RV 100 series. I am Joe Downs with Storage Moguls, and today we're getting into the first real decision you'll make as a boat and RV operator. Do you manage this facility yourself, or do you hire someone to do it for you? This isn't just a cost question, it's a proximity question, a time question, and a tenant experience question. And in this vertical, getting it wrong shows up fast. If you want everything we cover in this series, backed by a community of people actually doing it, come find us at storagemoguls.ai, where you'll find real operators shining and sharing what actually happens in the field, not what textbooks say. We aren't just buying storage units, folks. We're becoming storage moguls. To us, a mogul is a sophisticated operator who's mastered the full arc, from sourcing the deal to running it like a machine. We don't just buy, we acquire, and we optimize. That's the discipline that turns a standard investment into an extra six figures of value. We specialize in taking people who've never even considered this asset class before, all the way through the process from zero to owning and operating their first deal. There are no stage gurus here. We're solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, we're couples, husband and wife teams actively closing financeable deals between 400,000 and 2 million. And we're doing the work right now. And we're doing it together at storagemoguls.ai. You can start for free and move along at your own pace. But back to today, because knowing exactly where the self-managed model breaks down is what separates operators who scale from operators who burn out. Before you decide anything, you need to understand what you're actually signing up for, whether you're doing it yourself or handing it to someone else. On the tenant side, handling inquiries, executing leases, processing payments, move-in, walkthroughs, resolving complaints from people who are very emotionally attached to the asset they're storing. On the physical side, gate and access system maintenance, drive aisle condition, lighting, security cameras, and signage. None of it's complicated. All of it compounds if it gets ignored, though. The seasonal piece is where most new operators get caught off guard. This isn't like self-storage where demand is relatively flat. You have a spring move-out window, March through May, where tenants want their boats and RVs out, and a fall move-in wave, September through October, where they're coming back. Both windows are compressed, both generate volume. Whoever is managing this facility needs to be ready for both, not just available in theory, but operationally ready. I've seen operators try to self-manage boat and RV storage facilities from 2 states away during a fall rush. It did not go well. The fall wave doesn't wait for you to drive out. These are the 3 questions you need to run through before you make any staffing decision. Question 1, are you within 30 minutes of the facility? If yes, then self-managing is on the table. If no, you almost certainly need an on-site manager or a local contractor, someone who can physically be there when a tenant gets stuck at the gate, when a storm rolls through, or when the fall rush hits and 3 boats need to move in on the same Saturday morning. Question 2, do you have an extra 5 to 10 hours per week available during peak season? Because that's what it takes during the spring and fall windows. Off-season drops significantly, maybe 2 to 3 hours per week. But during those peak hours, peak seasons, you need to be genuinely available, not theoretically available. Question 3, is the facility under 75 spaces? Smaller facilities under 50 to 60 spaces are manageable solo if you're local. Above 75, the operational surface area is too large for one person working part-time. You'll have overlapping move-ins, maintenance that compounds, and a gate system that someone needs to be watching actively. If you answer no to any of these 3, then you might need help. And that's not judgment, it's math. Distance is the clearest indicator. If you're not local, you're not self-managing. Full stop. These tenants are storing high-value recreational assets, and they expect a real operator at the end of the phone line, not someone who's going to say, I'll drive out this weekend to check on it. One bad experience in this vertical spreads through the marina community faster than almost any other storage category. Scale matters at 75 plus spaces. Once you're above that threshold, the operational surface area is too large for one person working part-time. You've got overlapping move-ins during the fall wave, maintenance that builds if nobody's watching, and a gate system that will have issues at exactly the worst time. Portfolio intent is the one most operators miss in the early stages. If your goal is to own multiple facilities across multiple markets, and for most serious boat and RV investors, it should be, or it will be once you catch the bug, you can't self-manage everything. The point of this asset class is that it performs while you build. That only works if you have capable people running the day-to-day at each facility. The operators who make the hire early before they're overwhelmed scale faster than the ones who wait until they're drowning. We've seen it across multiple facilities. The hire is never as expensive as the alternative. The ideal boat and RV facility manager is not a traditional property manager. The role is a part customer service, part physical operations, part seasonal logistics coordinator. And the person needs to be comfortable talking to recreational vehicle owners who are enthusiastic, sometimes demanding, and always paying attention to how their asset is treated. Local knowledge is worth more in this role than formal property management experience. Someone who knows the seasonal patterns in your market, has relationships with local boat dealers, and understands what a marina charges for comparable storage is more valuable than someone with a portfolio of apartment buildings. I'd strongly recommend targeting candidates who are already tied to the recreational community in your market, maybe a marina employee, a boat dealership service advisor, even a long-term tenant who's proven reliable and organized. The overlap between knows the product and can manage the facility is the sweet spot. Physical presence matters here. This person needs to walk the property, flag maintenance before it compounds, and be on site during both seasonal peaks. It's not a desk job. And the ability to stay calm during the fall rush when 3 tenants want their boats in on the same day and the gate is a hiccup is something you want to screen for explicitly. This is an operating expense. Budget it into your acquisition pro forma before you close, not after you discover the facility is harder to manage than it looked. For a smaller facility under 75 spaces, you're typically looking at a part-time arrangement. Flat monthly fee per space fee or hourly, depending on how you structure it. Budget $1,500 to $3,000 a month for active part-time management at the scale, physical walkthroughs, gate management, tenant inquiries, and seasonal peaks availability. For a larger facility at 75 plus spaces, you're moving toward full-time. And you want to budget $35,000 to $55,000 annually, depending on your market, plus the understanding that fall and spring peaks will require extra hours. A third option, management companies that specialize in recreation or outdoor storage, they exist. They bring systems and experience. The trade-off is that you pay a premium and you give up some control over how the facility feels to tenants. One word of caution I'd give every operator here: don't hire a self-storage management company and assume they'll handle boat and RV well. I've seen it tried. The operational requirements are genuinely different. I can tell you that from firsthand experience. The seasonal peaks, the tenant profile, the access requirements for oversized vehicles, none of it maps cleanly to self-storage. Interview any management company specifically on seasonal boat and RV management before you hand them the keys. There's a third option that doesn't get enough attention: the hybrid model. Here's how it works. You manage the business side, you do, the leases, the pricing, tenant communications, financial reporting, rate strategy. And then you hire a local contractor or property caretaker to handle the physical side. Property walkthroughs, they handle gate maintenance coordination, seasonal check-ins, and on-site presence during the spring and fall peaks. This model works well for operators who are 30 to 90 minutes away, close enough to be involved, far enough that daily physical presence isn't realistic. It's also the right answer at smaller facilities where a full-time hire doesn't pencil out financially. The key is to define the handoff clearly before anything happens. Who handles tenant calls? Who escalates maintenance? Who is the face of the facility if a tenant shows up and there's a problem? When those answers are ambiguous, things fall through the cracks during exactly the moments when you need them not to. I'd recommend a written scope of work, even for an informal arrangement. It forces the conversation about coverage gaps before they become operational problems. We've used versions of this model at smaller facilities. When the scope is defined clearly and the contractor is reliable and local, it works pretty well. If you self-manage and you're under-resourced, too far away, you don't have enough time, wrong season, the damage shows up in 3 specific ways. Tenant experiences first. Boat and RV tenants talk to each other. They're at the same marina, the same dealership, the same launch ramp, the same campground. A bad experience spreads faster in this vertical than almost any other storage category. One tenant who couldn't get through the gate during the spring rush becomes a negative review, becomes a lost referral, becomes a vacancy you're trying to fill mid-season when demand has already moved on. Deferred maintenance is second. When you're stretched thin, the things you notice but don't act on, they compound. A pothole in the drive aisle, a gate code that works 90% of the time, a security camera with a blind spot. These are the things a good on-site manager catches and escalates before they become expensive repairs or insurance issues. Seasonal miss is the third. If you're not actively managing move in and move out timing during the peak windows, you're going to leave occupancy on the table. Tenants who can't get what they need when they need it will move to a facility that's more responsive. That's cash flow you never recover for that season. And in boat and RV, the season doesn't wait. Self-managing wrong is not just a cost decision, it's a risk decision. The hire or the hybrid is always less expensive than the problems that build when the operator isn't resourced correctly. Match your structure to your actual situation, not to what you wish the situation was. If you're local, under 75 spaces, and have the time, self-manage to start. You'll learn the facility faster, build tenant relationships directly, and understand exactly what a manager would need to do before you make the hire. That knowledge makes you a better owner long term. If you're remote, over 75 spaces, and genuinely time constrained, hire and budget the management expense into your acquisition performance before you close. It's not an afterthought. It's an operating expense that belongs in the underwriting, same as any other. And if you're in between 30 to 90 minutes, under 60 spaces, full-time hire doesn't pencil, you need to look at the hybrid. Identify a local contact, put the scope in writing, and stay close to the business side yourself. The one thing I push back on, don't make this decision based on cost alone. The right operator at the right scale with the right coverage structure is worth more than what you'd save going lean. The wrong setup costs you more in tenant experience, in deferred maintenance, and occupancy misses during seasonal peaks than the hire ever would make. The hiring versus self-management decision is not complicated, but it is consequential. Get it right early, and the facility runs clean through both seasonal peaks. Get it wrong, and you spend the first year fixing problems that were entirely preventable. Like this video if the 3-question decision tree gave you a clear answer about how to structure your own situation. Subscribe so you don't miss day 42. We're going back into drive aisle standards, and the width of the aisles you inherit at closing can dictate whether you're a Class A facility or a facility that can't accommodate the tenants worth having. And then share this with someone who's sizing up their first boat and RV acquisition and hasn't thought through the operational setup yet. The time to have this conversation is before you close, not 6 months after it. Operators who get the staffing structure right early don't just run cleaner facilities. They build faster because they're not spending their capacity fixing operational problems that stack up when the model was wrong. StorageMoguls.ai is where you connect with operators who've already made this decision and can tell you exactly what they do differently. It's free to start. The community is there when the deal is real. We'll see you tomorrow.